Hello and welcome to the Primetimers. I'm your host, Marty Moore. Today we have a very exciting show. We're going to talk about pets and seniors and some new information regarding adoption, and maybe you'd like to take one of those puppies home. We'll talk about it. Joining us today from the Huron Valley Humane Society is Deb Kern. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Marty.
Glad
So
you
good
could
to be here.
Deb, you're the marketing director for Huron Valley Humane Society. Big job. And you've been there how many years?
It's been almost going on 9 years now, Marty, so quite a while. Seen a lot of changes during those times.
Yeah. And you have some really exciting information as far as seniors are concerned. At least I thought it was. Well, of course, I'm a pet lover too. But first of all, why don't you tell us a little bit about this? Is a nonprofit organization. Give us a little background.
Sure. Yeah, the Humane Society of Huron Valley is actually 118 years old. We've been in existence quite a long time. Our mission obviously is to care for homeless animals in our community and make sure that they're all properly cared for. And at the Humane Society of Huron Valley, we actually have quite a few programs. So, of course, everybody knows us for our adoption program. People come there to adopt. We also have a full-service veterinary clinic, and that's open to the public. So, as well as caring for the animals that are in the shelter, you can actually bring your animals there as well, and we can care for them. Yeah. And if you do that, obviously the money that you spend at the clinic will go back and help the homeless animals that are in the shelter. So, and then of course there are a lot of reasons, a host of reasons why some people can't keep their pets, and we're there as well for people that need to relinquish their animals to a shelter. That can be a lot of reasons. We'll talk about that. And then also for strays. So if an animal is a stray, it can end up at the shelter as well, and we're there to take them in and care for them.
Well, there's a lot of new information there. You're also open 7 days?
7 days a week.
Wow.
And our adoptions program begins at 11 a.m. every day. So 7 days a week, and we open at 11 a.m. to the public.
And so you've got the state-of-the-art veterinary clinic. And what about training dogs, and how much that kind of costs?
We actually do have a lot of programs at the shelter, and one is dog training. So if you do get a dog from the shelter, and it might need some training, you have a lot of programs you can use. You can do basic manners class, which is for the animals that kind of just need to know their basic manners. Sit, stay, walk well on a leash, that kind of a thing. Outside, what does that mean? Right, yes. Or sometimes you might get a puppy, like you mentioned, we do have puppies too. And puppy preschool is a great class too. So that's going to really start them out early and socialize them, get them all their necessities so that they could go into basic manners. And then we have another program, a dog training program, that's called Reactive Rover, and it's for dogs that might need a little bit of help because they're reactive around other animals. So if they're reactive around other animals, then you can get them into that. And the classes range from 5 nights every Tuesday or Wednesday or Saturday to 6 nights, and it's pretty affordable. It's $149 for the entire series, and then that goes up from there. And then we also have tools for you to follow up with and things like that for training.
Now, what areas do you cover? Like, can you bring adopt if you don't live in that area, or can you bring your pet if you don't live in that area?
Yeah, that's a good question, and you sure can. Even though we're located in Ann Arbor, we adopt to people all over the state, actually. A lot of people come to us because they really do like our shelter, and we have such extended hours and things like that, and a pretty good selection of animals. About 25% of the animals are actually purebred too. So you can come and use our clinic as well, even if wherever you live, it doesn't really matter.
So your service area is like Washtenaw and
Plymouth and Canton. That is for strays. So we are a stray hold facility for Washtenaw County and for Plymouth and Canton. So
that's good to know.
Every municipality will have an area that will be that stray animals will go to. So in our shelter, it's Washtenaw County, Canton, and Plymouth.
Okay. And you had mentioned earlier if someone has to relinquish their pet, what are you're able to do that?
Yeah, we do ask you first check with your local Humane Society when you need to relinquish, just because there are so many animals in the shelter. It's estimated that 3 to 4 million animals will end up in shelters across the country this year. There's a lot of animals, strays and owner relinquished. So we all get really busy and we get very full. So we ask that you can check with your shelter first. If they're full, you can always call another shelter, and if we do have room, we'll definitely work with you.
Oh, okay. And I understand you also have events going on that people can attend, and it doesn't really matter what area you're from. I just want to make that clear, because sometimes it's, you know, a little iffy. All right, tell us about volunteers. I know that's a big part of Huron Valley's actually functioning.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know what we would do without our volunteers. They're so amazing, and they give us so many hours, from walking dogs or cuddling cats to working in the admin office. Sometimes they work in the clinic or help us with events or foster animals in their home. So it's really easy to become a foster or become a volunteer at the Humane Society. We have a small application that you can fill out on our website or give us a call, and then we get you into an orientation, and from there we walk you through everything that you can do as a volunteer. And then you kind of graduate up the level based on what you're learning, because we want to provide training for our volunteers as well. So we do that so that they, so that they feel real comfortable around everything they're doing. And then we ask that you can give us maybe 2 hours a week. If you can do that, that'd be great.
Well, it doesn't seem like a lot of hours, but seeing as, you know, when you're a little bit older, we're talking senior volunteers now, and 2 hours may, to some people, not seem like a lot, but on your feet a long time, you have to think about all that.
Absolutely.
Listen, Deb, we're going to take a short break, and when we return, we're going to talk a little bit more about a special volunteer that is joining us today, and also her good friend. His name is Poba. Poba.
Yep.
I think that's from the Lion King. So
yes, it is.
We'll be right back.
The pain will not control us, because arthritis can't beat us if we beat it first. In the fight against arthritis, you need a weapon. What's yours? Visit the Arthritis Foundation at fightarthritispain.org.
We're back with Deb Kern here at the Primetimers. She's from the Huron Valley Humane Society and has some great information for us. Get right to it so we can get everything in. What are some of the benefits, Deb, that
having a pet?
Pets can provide for seniors?
For seniors, and there's so many, I think. But there's actually been a lot of great studies done recently about the health benefits, because having a pet companion can actually lower your blood pressure.
Whoa.
It can. It gives you, you're less lonely, so they've seen less cases of depression. And also, it gives you more exercise yourself, because when you have a pet, that means you have to spend some time with them. And a lot of times, even though if it's not long walks, it could be short walks, or it could just be playing with them, but it gives you some activity level too.
Yeah, and you're also experiencing a little bit of laughter too.
Yes,
laughter is good medicine too.
It sure does.
When we have the responsibilities of a pet, you know, this all sounds like, oh, hey, that's cool, we're going to do this.
Sure.
But you have to really look into the picture because it is a responsibility. What are some things that we should consider?
Sure. I mean, things to think about when you have a pet. Obviously, they're going to need care, and sometimes that is food and water, but also veterinary care. And just as we age, sometimes animals need more veterinary care as they age. So, you know, you need to think about maybe the annual cost about having a pet. And so a dog, on a rough basis, an annual cost to have a dog is between $600 to $800 annually a year, because you have to get veterinary care if they need vaccinations and food, if there's additional care, things like that. So we kind of just estimate. And for a cat, it's a bit lower. So it might be between $200 to $400 annually to have a cat in your home.
So one of the things is, can I afford this?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something to think about. And can you give them the activity they need? Of course, every breed is a little different. So if you have a bigger dog, they might need more exercise. If you have a smaller dog, they need less exercise. And actually, if you're a senior and you come into the shelter, we can work with you based on your activity level. So we can find you a good companion that will meet your lifestyle and what you're looking for.
Now, of course, exercise really is important as far as the pet is concerned. Not only for yourself, it's a good excuse.
Yes.
I mean, you got to get out of your pajamas and get the leash out and walk around the block.
Gives you some motivation,
that'd
doesn't
be
it?
Great incentive. What are some of the different ways someone can get a pet?
Sure. So obviously we'll hope that you can come to the shelter first, because
Yes.
we always say make adoption your first option, because there's so many that are in shelters that need homes. But if you're thinking that you have to have a particular breed and you can't find it at the shelter right at the time you're going, then you can certainly work with a breeder. And there are a lot of reputable breeders out there. You just need to make sure that you do your homework.
Okay, so you're not going to just walk into some little pet store and they have a doggy for $4.99 and expect to get a good pet.
Well, unfortunately, pet stores that actually do sell pets have been known to get their dogs from puppy mills, and that's an ongoing problem, and that's why there's so much overpopulation. So there are many pet stores that work with rescue groups to do adoptions. So you'll see some of the bigger chains like the PetSmarts and the Pet Supplies Plus, Petco. They actually do work with rescue groups or shelters. So those animals that are there for adoption are ones that really need it. But some of the just pet stores that only sell animals, you really need to watch out about.
Yeah, so you're going to go with a reputable breeder.
And a reputable breeder will always show you the animals, the puppies' parents. They'll show you where they're breeding the animals.
Oh, okay.
And really be
That's
careful about
important.
Craigslist or purchasing any animal offline, because a lot of those you'll never know any background to, and a lot of the people there will actually be working with puppy mills. So you just need to be
I mean,
careful.
they can tell you anything they want. Sometimes it's better to get a friend of a friend's dog. Now, this is one of the situations I think that might concern seniors. And like if they get a stroke or they become incapacitated or they die, how is the center able to help if there's no one else to take care of your animal?
Yeah, that does happen, Marty. I mean, we've had obviously family members that bring animals in that say this was my mom's or my aunt's and no one can care for it. And they're not going to get out of the hospital or they passed away. So we do take the animals in, obviously. We also have a program, it's called the Guardian Circle. And basically, if you work with us, we can tell you about how you can include us in your will and in your bequest or things like that. But then
that's
also,
a great idea.
Yeah, and then we also provide a program for your animal when it's needed. So that way we just can get all the questions up front. We find out all their medical information, find out what they really like. So when they do come to us, we're able to place them a lot easier. So we do take animals in that are in that situation for sure.
So I mean, even if say you've got an animal and you're getting concerned, by talking with Deb at the shelter, I'm sure you've got some forms to fill out.
Yep.
This gives the dog a chance to then be readopted.
Absolutely.
I mean, stuff happens, and one day you're not in a wheelchair, you know.
Yep, you're right, Marty. And so the early, if you're starting to feel like that, or you want to make sure that your pet's being cared for, you can give us a call, and we can discuss all those options for you. And that way, when the time comes, it's not a big.
But it will be taken. Your animal will have a place to go.
Yes, they'll have a place to go. They'll be well cared for until we can find another home for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see that's a big relief for like my kind of person, because I'm thinking, oh, this poor animal running loose and nobody in the family wants it, because they probably got 9 dogs of their own, you know.
Yeah.
So if someone is interested in a pet but they're not quite sure about getting one, are there like volunteer opportunities? I mean, to set yourself up for this. I mean, just so you don't have to walk in cold.
Yeah, we actually, if you volunteer, you get to come in and you visit with all the animals and you get to see them while you're there. Yeah. Also, when you volunteer with us, you get a chance to see them firsthand. So what happens a lot of times is that some animal will come in and you'll get the first opportunity to see them. And if it's the right fit, then you can actually, you know, find that out pretty quickly, and then you can adopt. So it's another great thing. Even though all of our animals are on our website and we keep that up to date all the time, there are times that they come in and they're seen so quickly they never even make it to the website.
Yeah.
They get adopted before they even make it on the website.
Really cuties, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking about too that if you go in as a volunteer, you can maybe spend some, you know, what if you kind of like this one little animal, and then you have time to say, well, see if my husband likes it, or see if the animal likes me. You know, usually
that's always important.
Volunteering allows you this luxury.
Yep, and the opportunity to interact and kind of see where it goes. And that's why fostering is really important too, and I know we're going to talk a little bit about that, but when you foster an animal, sometimes they don't leave the foster home. That can be okay too, because if you fall in love, you fall in love, you know?
Yeah. Now, just so our audience knows that I wanted you to mention how long the animals are kept and if the animals are fixed.
Right. So we don't have any time limits at the Humane Society of Huron Valley. There's no time limit for any animal. Some have been with us for, you know, up to a year, and they might be going in and out of foster care or things like that to give them a break from the shelter. But as long as they're healthy and there's no behavior concerns at all, there's no time limits. And then every animal that's adopted from the Humane Society is already spayed and neutered. They're fixed. They have vaccinations, and they have a microchip ID, which is great. It's the best way for lost and found, so that you can find them. Yeah.
Well, see, this covers a lot of questions that seniors might have. Speaking of volunteers, we're going to meet one.
Yes, that'd be great.
And when we return, we'll be talking with Deb and with
Kate Murphy.
Kate Murphy, who's a board member and also a volunteer, and also sitting right over there with Pumba. Cute little dog. You gotta meet him. We'll be right back.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. Get Fire Adapted now. Learn simple steps at fireadapted.org.
Welcome back to the Prime Timers. We're having so much information here. I feel like I'm talking 90 miles an hour trying to fit it all in. There's a lot we know about the animals, thanks to Deb Kern, who is here from the Huron Valley Humane Society. She is their marketing director. Also, in the big picture here is Kate Murphy, and I think this guy sitting on her lap is, are we keeping you awake? And he is a foster guy, right?
He is.
So tell us his name and how that came about.
His name is Pumba. He's 4.5 years old, and we think he's a Chihuahua Terrier mix. As we've watched him run around our yard and our house, we think he's also part Greyhound. And I've been fostering him for, I think, about 2 months now, and he came to the shelter as a stray, was very fearful, very afraid of people, and would not walk, would not go out for a walk.
He seems rather relaxed here.
He is very relaxed now. He's doing quite well in our home. We have 2 other dogs, and there's no fighting between the dogs, but they are very bonded, and so we want to find Pumba a good home eventually.
Yeah.
We're hoping that we can find him a good home. And
he's kind of like still the outsider.
He is a little bit of the outsider. Yeah, no bullying going on, but they just sort of ignore him.
So what kind of home do you think he's kind of looking for, Kate?
Well, I think Pumba would be very happy in a quiet home where there is some activity, some people coming and going, because he needs to continue his socialization with other people. Probably a home where there's no other dogs. He would do fine with dogs, but I think it'd be nice if he could be the center of attention at home. Perhaps a senior.
Is he timid, kind of?
He's quite timid and
so
fearful.
he needs to have his ego pop.
He does. He needs to feel like he's important.
Yeah.
And he's come a long way in the time that we've had him, but he still has a ways to go. But he's a terrific. He's a very sweet dog. Very sweet.
So maybe we'll find Pumba a home.
That would be great.
open up those little eyes. Let me
He's
see
like,
him.
"Oh,
Oh,
so-"
he is so
He's
cute.
actually a really good dog, as you can tell.
Yeah.
And he's housebroken, and you know, for the most part, he's had a couple accidents only when he's very nervous if something happens.
Yeah. Well, see, if he's in a calm situation,
I think
I
he'll do
guess
real
we're
good.
pretty calm.
Yeah.
He's in front of cameras right now and doing very well.
Yeah.
I cannot believe this. You know.
Does he like
I'll
to
be
get in the
doing-
car and go for rides and stuff?
He does. He's again, he's a little nervous when he first gets in the car, but on the trip over here, which was about a 50-minute trip, he eventually would settle down in the back seat and fell asleep. So he was
Oh,
very,
bless his
very
heart.
comfortable, very calm.
That's been a big morning for you.
Yes, yes, indeed.
I might add, I met Pumbaa in the elevator coming up, and he was very, very upset.
He was shaking.
Are you sure this is, what have you done with
The
Pumbaa?
same dog.
Yeah. He'll get very bonded to somebody pretty quickly. So
Yeah.
I think if he does have that right home, that's kind of quiet home, and
Yeah.
a person to give him that love and care, I think you're going to get a great companion with Pumbaa.
Deb, I wanted you to talk about the senior to senior program
Sure.
that the society is offering up.
Yeah, we started this because we think it's just a great thing to be able to find senior pets homes with senior people.
Yes.
Again, we've talked about the great, you know, in fact, the health studies that show that they can be great companions, lower your blood pressure, and give you more activity level. So we decided that we would adopt any senior animal. That's going to be an animal that's 8 or older, to any senior person 60
8 or older.
8 or older,
Okay.
to any senior person 62 or more. For free. You can get a free adoption.
Oh,
and
wow.
of course, that's, you know, it's great because the animal's already spayed and neutered and vaccinated, and they have a microchip and everything. So you're going to get a great companion for free. We just want to make sure that you can provide the care that they need, and then we know that our senior animals actually stay in our shelter much longer because many families and young people are not looking for senior animals.
Well, no, they want a
They
young
want the
family,
puppies
young
and the
puppy.
kittens.
Everybody grows up together and gets calm about the same time. You know, if your nerves can stand it.
Right.
But as far as 62, and people, I want to say people, animals like dogs are people too.
Yeah, they are. We think.
But anyhow, if someone, like, say, is watching our program and maybe would give you a call at the society.
At the shelter, yep. We are open to it every day at 11 a.m., so you can either give us a call or come on over. What you'll need to do, our requirements are that you fill out a small application. It just gives us some information about you, how much time you've been with pets or have not been with pets, and then we find out about your lifestyle and your activity level. And then we have some really knowledgeable volunteers and staff members that know all about the animals, and we can let you visit with animals that we think might be a great fit for you. And if you find that companion the first time you come, great. If not, you can continue to come back. We give you a pass, and that pass is good for 3 months so that we can continue to have you visit with other animals. But when you're ready to adopt, they go home with you that day because they're all ready to go.
Yeah.
So if you find the right companion, then you can take them home.
But the requirements are, I
Just-
mean, this for the dog's benefit too, you know, if he's an
Yeah.
older dog. Because they probably have some information you would like to know, and they want to know about you also. and
Absolutely.
make sure that you're a pet person.
Yeah, and you know, it's just good for us to know. It helps us know what people's activity levels are and what kind of commitment they can make. And sometimes people will come in and they think they want to adopt, and we talk to them, and then they said, you know what, maybe I'm not ready. And that's okay too.
Yeah.
And when you
But
are,
it's no big deal.
It's not a big deal at all. And we think it's great that you're, you know, even evaluating to see if you want a pet. That's,
Yeah.
you know, something you need to find out.
Yeah, well, I think it's important that you can't. What if you get them home and you find out, like, that's not going to work?
It happens sometimes, and if that happens, then we just have you bring them right back to the shelter.
Okay, so it's no big deal.
No, you
Yeah.
know what? Our goal is to make it a happy adoption for everybody, the pet and the person. And
Yeah.
if it ends up that that's not a good fit, then you know that's
I mean,
that's all
because
right.
there's got to be the fenced yard in some areas, you know, the noise level. You got wild kids living next door, or you know, that sort of thing.
if an animal, if we think a dog would require a fence because it might run, kind of like when you were talking about your one dog you had,
yes,
who would just run. Well, then we would say if you don't have a fenced-in yard, it probably wouldn't be a good fit. But there are many animals that will do fine within condominiums or apartments or anything like that.
Well, I mean, something like poor old Ralph, he would go to anybody but me. And he did love to travel. And he wouldn't bark. So his big job of letting me know that someone was at the front door if I'm in the back of the house, he failed that job.
Yeah. He just wanted that door to be open so he could...
That's right, that's right. He didn't figure that one out. You know? But he was a chewer. Good old Ralph. But he did find finally a house big enough and a yard big enough for him.
Perfect.
For him.
Yeah.
Now, when we're talking about taking over and adopting senior to senior dog, that is so cute. What about the older animals and their trips to the veterinary or?
Yeah. It obviously we were, you know,
you
as
just
we
set up a doctor appointment for him.
Yeah, you know, as we age, you know,
Just
dogs
put him
and
on the
people,
list of doctors.
right? We all need more veterinary care, but there is pet insurance available through the Humane Society. So when you adopt, we will talk to you about pet insurance and whether or not it's something that you think might be a good thing to do, and we can set you up for that when you're adopting. So we know as much medical history as we have on the animal, we go over that with you so that you know right up front what we know about them. So in case that we think there might be additional medical care, then we can have that conversation.
My dog has Blue Cross, right? Or something like that.
We know it can get expensive, so it's something to think about.
Well, I mean, medications and if you're going to do it, you got and adopt a dog. You really, that's your new family member, so they've got to have their dentist and their doctor, just.
And
like any
dentals
other
are very
person.
important for pets. Very important to have good dental care.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can lead to lots of problems when they have bad teeth.
Oh.
So we make sure that we really check that out. So when we get an animal in, we do a lot of that stuff pre-adoption. So if we find out that they need some of that, that's done actually before you adopt.
Oh, okay. Well, it sounds like the pet is going to be happy, and the new owner is. Or the new mommy is daddy is going to be happy. What about other animals?
Yeah, besides dogs or cats, which we've been talking about,
cats,
right? We do think that, you know, for seniors, sometimes I know my mom and her friends have birds, and they can be a lot of companionship. And we sometimes get birds at the Humane Society of Huron Valley, so we'll put them up for adoption when we get them. We have other animals that fish, anything that might be a pet that might be left behind or need to find a home, we'll have.
We also have a bird rescue, right?
Right, we work with bird rescues, so there's quite a few around our area. So if you are interested in birds or reptiles or fish or things like that, we can give you some information about who you can work with to get a rescue one. Which they're out there and they need homes too. Yeah, and they can be really great companionships for seniors, especially because, you know, birds can just be there. They don't need much. They just need you and care and food. But they can have a lot of. You have a bird, don't you, Kate?
Yes,
Kate's got a bird too. So there are a lot of companionship. Yeah,
and it's. I guess that would depend on your space and what the some. Areas have living restrictions, and so you can or cannot do some of these things.
Right.
One thing I wanted to ask you is if the Humane Society has, do you go to nursing homes, you know, where people can't have pets,
right?
At certain places.
We will make trips. Actually, we have a humane education program, and when people ask us to come out for a tour to their facility, or sometimes they get on the bus and they come to us. It's different things like that we'll do. But we'll do meet and greets, where we might take out a dog that would do well in that environment. We also know and work with Therapaws of Michigan, and Therapaws of Michigan is fantastic about going out and actually providing some companionship at nursing homes and other health places that people are at, and they want to get that little break and get that companionship. So we can either do it, or we can talk to you about Therapaws of Michigan, which is a great great organization.
I know animals can be very helpful. There are working dogs, and having firsthand information on a couple of working dogs, they are amazing animals.
They are.
Given a fair shake and a little bit of training and a lot of patience, you can't rush, especially if it's an older dog. But they will, I think, or maybe you know firsthand, that taking on a foster dog, you really can't push them when they're older dogs. You have to be a lot more patient. And I would say, as a volunteer, you felt fostering would be more comfortable for you, right, Kate?
Well, I do a number of different volunteer activities, but the reason I got into fostering was because I lost a dog.
Oh, I see.
A 13-year-old corgi, and I didn't think I was ready to adopt another dog right away, and our other dog was lonesome. And so I talked to the foster coordinator and said, I think I'd like to start fostering now. And so I went through the training and fostered a little dog named Ricky, who was a Havanese mix, and ended up adopting Ricky.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't think I would, but then I enjoyed the foster experience so much that I decided I wanted to continue doing that. Because it's very rewarding to have a dog that is not doing well at the shelter, bring them to your home, and watch them
them
thrive.
up and getting them.
Yeah, watch them thrive, and then watch them find their own home. And Marty, I was talking about the fact that we do have some seniors that are only here during the summer because they winter in other places. But that's fine too. If you want to be a foster home and just want to do it during the summer, you can do that too. We're very flexible, and we always need people to help out. So if you're interested in
that is one of the reasons probably keeping half seniors from not having a pet. Where they're going to store them, they can't take them with them because they don't know who's allergic and who isn't allergic, and will the car be too much for the dog and getting out with it. There's a lot involved in making a family member, and if you're not real sure yourself, if you fostered and kind of get, try your wings on a little bit and see if you still have the old dog master charm.
Yeah.
Well, listen, ladies, I want to thank you for being with us, and thank the folks at the Huron Valley Humane Society for allowing your time with us. Kate Murphy, keep up the good work with your very active...
He's snoring right now.
I can hear, this dog is snoring, folks.
He's so cute.
Well, your fans are watching, looking for those big brown eyes. But anyhow, and Deb Kern, thank you so much for
My
being
pleasure. Thank you.
with the Primetimers. And I'm Marty Moore. We'll see you next time right here on Livonia Television.